Hi everybody, got another game review lined up from a Chess Bootcamp Live member, and this is Hanoi John. So I've lined up a couple of games, most recent losses actually, and we're going to start with this. This is a rapid game. We're looking for patterns, we're looking for typical weaknesses, gaps in Hanoi John's thinking and process and checklist and that kind of thing. So let's start with this game. It's got the white pieces, e4, e5, knight f3 and f5, the Latvian gambit. Now I don't know much about this. As a general principle, you can very often accept the first free pawn that's offered. So here we've got, John's in the 900, his opponent is rated 1092. So here I would probably capture the pawn. Alternatively, you have to defend the pawn and then recapture, which here isn't too bad. For example, so here in the game we get knight c3. Then if pawn takes, you get knight takes, and you've got two pieces developed. You haven't lost any material, plus black has moved Freddy. So I think here we don't even get the exchange. So black clearly doesn't want to take the pawn. Interesting. But now if you take, black takes back with the bishop, so you definitely shouldn't take now that this d pawn has moved, opening up the bishop. So at this point in time I'd probably bring my bishop out, preparing d3. Excellent. And now knight f6. And we're building a chess game. This looks good. I think probably d3 now with castles. d3 is great. Okay, knight c6. Both players are following good opening principles. They're developing their minor pieces. They're tolerating tension in the middle of the board, which frankly is quite unusual around the 1000 mark. White castles. Black pushes on. It's kind of interesting now. It makes this bishop quite useful. This bishop's crap. But it really, what we really have here is the board sliced in two. So strategically, that's quite interesting. At the 1000 level, you just want to crack on. Now, white dark square bishop is also absolute crap right now. So what you might want to think about doing is something like clear some space, maybe fianchetto this bishop, push the d pawn, just try and break open and get this bishop looking down there, something like that. That's all I can think. Okay, we have a pawn push now. It's attacked twice and defended twice, that's okay. But in general, John, try and get your pieces out before pawn breaks. Pawn breaks are really for the middle game, and it's a way to shake up the board and maybe begin an attack. Now, this isn't a bad thing right now, because actually, to your credit, black hasn't castled. So actually, when you've castled, your opponent hasn't. Opening up the centre is no bad thing. So now bishop pins knight. One way out of this is queen d3. Gives the knight a defender other than the pawn, which you don't want to recapture with. And now we push on. I actually thought your intention might be to trade off in the middle, open up the middle, and come for this king, which is more principled than this, which blocks off the centre. Right? We don't want to block up the centre when your opponent's vulnerable. We want to open it up. So I'd be interested to see what the computer thinks of that. Now knight comes in. Okay. And now we have a problem, because this knight is pinned here and it's also attacked twice. You might have to drop the bishop back. Well done. This is good play, you know. For a rapid game, somebody rated under 1000. If I was Levi Rosman, I was playing Guess the Elo. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I can't do a Levi impression. Can't do many impressions of chess players for some reason. Okay, so now we're kicking the bishop. What do we think of this? It's not bad, you know. Thing is, Black really doesn't want to lose this only good bishop, because this bishop's trash, right? But then, if you recapture with a bishop, he can take your light square bishop. I don't know what's going to happen. Oh, hell! Bishop takes h3, gh3. Wow. So he's sacked. Queen h3. All right. So he's got himself 2 pawns for his bishop, and it was a jolly good bishop. However, White's king is now stripped bare. So really, what you want to be thinking about doing now is moving this knight maybe to there and hit the queen, so that you can bring your other bits into play. We really need to apply the imbalance that's in your favor, which is you have more pieces, right? The imbalance that's in your opponent's favor is your king is really vulnerable. Now, what this means is you want to get your junk over here somehow as quickly as you can. The sun's going in and out. Okay, now we trade off. And that's not a bad idea when you've got a vulnerability like that. It also messes up your opponent's pawns, but now you've got a slightly wonky knight. It's going to have to come here, I think, and maybe have a poke at c7. He'll probably push. Oh, no, he's castled. Now, I'll tell you the move that I would play right now. But see if you guys can spot it first. Okay, the move I would play is pawn to e5. Now, why pawn to e5? In fact, maybe not even, because the pawn takes. What I'm wanting to do is I want to get rid of this knight. And the reason is the knight is guarding this square. And the reason I want the knight to stop guarding that square is because of where this king and this queen are, and we have this guy. Right, so there's the potential of a bishop fork here. But you have to encourage that knight to move. So it might take a creative thing. We also have a hanging pawn here. Something like that might be good. Something like that might be good. Bishop takes f4. Get in. Who's my money on now? I mean, you're technically 2 pawns up. Plus, this bishop can now come down here, be a defensive piece. This bishop can come here. You could actually really encase your king and get really solid there. Black now comes on the offensive. So I'm thinking here still, I'm guessing you haven't, that actually takes away the bishop pin square. Yeah, that's a cleverer move than it looks. Okay, you go ahead and you pin the knight against the rook anyway. Bishop breaks pin. You trade off. Fair enough, you grab a pawn. My concern here is that you could find your knight trapped. However, it would take c6 and then you can grab c6. King here. Well, that just hangs the knight. The king's attacking the knight. You thought for 1 minute, 15, 16 seconds over that move. Why didn't you save your knight? Queen here, check. King has to go in the corner, forced. Queen here. Takes pawn, but the problem is that is checkmate, and that is checkmate. And we have Queen h3 checkmate. Weaknesses in that game? I don't really know. I mean, let's just whiz through it again, because this is all pretty solid stuff, right? You're actually looking at completing development in 8 moves, which is fantastic. That's an interesting approach. This is the only dubious move, okay? So let's hit the game review and check this one out. I don't think we need to look at other games. I think this... Ooh! Hell. 4 blunders each. Hot diggity damn. And it's all pretty solid at the start. Okay, book. That's okay. And that's a mistake. Could have threatened to win material. Yeah. Okay, but I like that move. That's a mistake. You're saying it should have traded pawns in the centre. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was surprised that black pushed that pawn. Brings out his knight, you play d3, it's all good. So here, white is plus 1.4. And what's not to like that? Castling was inaccurate. Okay, it's saying go in for the knight with threat on here, with either knight or bishop. Yeah, that was on, wasn't it? But honestly, at the 1000 level, I think in general, you're probably better off thinking about sticking to opening principles rather than launching early attacks. I mean, it really wasn't screaming out. I don't know. Because, I mean, d5 is playable. Let's say a knight's in there and you're threatening this. d5 is defended twice, attacked 3 times, maybe not. Yeah, but the computer saw that. You don't have to see everything the computer sees. Really don't. d4 is good, but not the best move. It still really wants you to do that. Okay, so we play d4, bishop g4, pins, and then d5. A better way... Pinning black's knight, okay. That's a good move, yeah. That's okay. Best move here? A bishop sack? What? And then this is a blunder. Alright then, quiz time. Why is that a blunder? Why? Suddenly the advantage has really flipped in white's favour. Well, we'll find out in the next move, because you play this, which is a blunder, and a better move would have been, it says it wants you to trade pieces. Capture the knight. Okay, let's see the line. Pawn takes. I don't know, but I mean, look at the end of all of this, you've got a nice centre and a safe king, and black doesn't, so let's just review that again. This and then this, but the best move was knight takes. Okay, so it wants you to trade knights, trade off the bishop, and win a pawn. Okay, couldn't expect you to see that. So let's go back here. That's a blunder. So you play this and kick the bishop. But again, yeah, it wanted you to take the knight there. That's a blunder. That's a mistake. Huh. Probably still take the knight. Yeah, it really wants you to take that knight, doesn't it? And then queen takes. Right, yes, of course. You have 2 attackers. Now your king is looking quite happy there. And this is +3 for white. Tricky one though. You know, this stuff takes some calculation and... Okay, so you take that and queen there is a blunder. And now white is +4.5, which is a winning position. However, okay. And you finally trade and it says it's a great move. Then you go there, great. So now you're absolutely flying high and there is a blunder about to come, and it's that. It said you needed to defend an unprotected piece, which I guess means this pawn, eh? Best move here was there. Okay, so if this game is teaching us one thing, I mean, look, I have to say, sub 1000, this is a very decent game. This move here is the only really kind of dubious one, because it you know, you need to do the goldfish method and just at the very least, especially when you're playing a 30-minute rapid, right? Identify hanging pieces. So right now that's under attack and it's undefended. So go through your position, okay? That's defended, that's fine, that's defended by the bishop, okay, that's defended, that isn't defended, you see, so what's undefended, and do it pretty quickly. Also, that's undefended. Okay, so out of these, what's under attack? Well, actually that is, you know, so we need to do something about that pawn. And here, you're up in material, because your opponent sacked that bishop. So here it's saying, that's why queen d3. But with this move, and this is a blunder, it's now +5, gives away free material. But I think you miss it and lose from this position. So, what's wrong with this? What's free material? Well, that pawn's hanging for sure. Okay, let's have a look. So here you trade, and it says force checkmate, mate in 11. Ignore that nonsense. Ignore the fish. The fish, crazy. The fish can calculate stuff that you and I simply can't, so just don't worry about that at all. But there was a better move. It's a mate in 11, for goodness sake. Queen takes that, and you are +5. You are absolutely dominant, because you've also got threats of coming in here. Queen to there, or even if you can get your queen to here, that's mate. So here, you trade off. And I've just been praising both players at the beginning of the game for, you know, being willing to hold the tension. But again, so here it's saying, take with the queen. Centralize your queen, connect your rooks. This is all principled stuff. And from here, your queen has evil plans. Certainly. But this, you know, this is a good bishop. This is a good piece, and there's no reason to remove it from the board, right? It does kind of protect the pawn, but maybe you hadn't even noticed that the pawn was undefended, so I don't know. But yeah, I think all we can take from this game, for you at the beginner level, it seems like you got a lot of the, also, by the way, this is undefended. So, you know, that would force the king to move, you just come back. Yeah? So, one of the basics on every single move in the game, spotting undefended pieces on your side and on your opponent's side. And then you ask yourself, okay, well, is it in my interests to capture this with a queen? Is it in my interest to capture that with a knight, or capture that with a knight with check? I mean, that's basically a free move, but it does give away a tempo. Okay, if you think about it, you take, king moves, you have to retreat, and then it's black's turn. You've won yourself a pawn, so I think out of all of this, a better move, like the computer says, queen takes d4, defends this pawn, threatens a7 a second time. That's all pretty good. So in fact here, let's just play it through. If you take here, you might even have ideas. So your opponent just does something, right? Let's just do that. There, and king goes to here. You've even got ideas of using this bishop maybe somehow. So let's say check there, and he takes. Mate in 6, the computer says now, you see. So, I mean, I could say we need to stay sharp to attacking possibilities, but I mean, there's definitely threats here, you know. I think at the sub 1000 level, just taking the time to make sure that you've done a complete audit of the board on every move, and then say, okay, what are my options? Because it does seem like this bishop capture, which gives black mate in 10, but who's going to figure that one out? You've got to be a super grandmaster to figure out mate in 10. You've got to be, well, you've got to be a master player anyway, and we ain't, so. This is just kind of unnecessary. Yes, you're up in material, and yes, you're making what looks like an equal trade on paper. But this was a front foot move. This was a nothing move in a sense. I think that's all I can really comment on that. But yeah, I hope that's useful for you, John. Yeah, just very rationally assess the entire board, but particularly undefended pieces. Identify those undefended pieces and say, well, out of this, how many of those are real liabilities, real weaknesses, Can I, should I be in attack mode now? Should I be in defense mode? Right? Do I need to be protecting my stuff? But overall, out of all of these, queen takes there is both defensive and offensive as well. So that's all I can really add. So yeah, I hope that's useful for you, buddy. Thanks for submitting for a review. I hope it's been useful for everyone else, and I'll see you soon.